Giving that a go.
Question number 3, the Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What will he do to spread some of the benefits of growth when hourly wage rates have only grown by 1.6% in the year to December 2013, which is close to 0% in real terms, when 45% of listed corporates have double-digit profit growth?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the member continues to use the wrong numbers on wages. Last year, average hourly wages went up 2.9%, compared to inflation of 1.6%. The year before, they went up 2.6%, compared to inflation of 0.9%. The year before that, they went up 2.8%, compared to inflation of 1.6%. So the member mistakenly uses the labour cost index and deliberately as a way of measuring what wages people earn, and it simply doesn't measure that.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
Does the labour cost index measure the change in hourly rates from year to year, and did that show growth of only 1.6% in the year to December 2013?
Honourable Bill
Mr.
English.
Speaker, the labour cost index is an index of labour costs, like the CPI is an index of consumer cost. It does not measure what people earn. What people earn is measured by the quarterly employment survey, and for the last 3 years, wages have gone up over 7% at a time when inflation has been around 4%. So real wages have been rising.
Supplementary question, Jami-Lee Ross.
By how much have wages grown after tax in the past 5.5 years, and how does this compare historically?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, since the September quarter of 2008, real after-tax wages have increased by 12.9%. In other words, the average wage, after you allow for inflation and tax, has gone up 12.9% in a little over 5 years.
Order.
And those have been 5 pretty difficult years. And it compares well historically. For example, over 9 years, from September 1999 to September 2008, real after-tax wages rose 4.4%, not 12.9%, as it has in the last 5 years. So average workers have been considerably better off under this government than under the previous Labor government, because their after-tax wages have gone up much faster, despite the fact that we've had a major recession.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, the Honourable David Parker.
Do the census figures published in the Herald just before Christmas last year show that the median income in Mangere and Otahuhu had dropped by 16%, and in Otara, Papatoetoe and Manarewa had dropped by 17% since the previous census? And does this represent the brighter future he promised these hard-working New Zealanders 5 years ago, or is it the census that's got the figures wrong?
Well, Mr Speaker,
Honourable Bill English.
I would have to look at the members' the details. The details. Well, just because he keeps using the wrong measure for increase in wages, so it could be he's using the wrong measure for statistics. But I can tell you that if the people in those suburbs have been hit by the recession, what they need is a growing economy with more jobs, because the one thing that will lift those wages is getting jobs. And if there's one thing Labor and the Greens are against, it's more jobs, because every policy this government's introduced to give those people more hope has been opposed by Labor and the Greens.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
How can he deny that the benefits of growth are not being shared fairly when home ownership is now at its lowest level in more than half a century?
Order. The question is to the Honourable Bill English. Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, the fact that house prices are rising pretty significantly does mean that people who currently own houses in some places get a greater share of the increase in wealth, and people locked out of the market do not get the benefits of those wealth increases. The best thing that the opposition can do to help that is support the government's measures to improve the access of low and middle income people to the housing market. And so far, the opposition has opposed all the measures the government has taken to give low and middle income New Zealanders better opportunities.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
How can he deny that the benefits of growth are not being shared fairly when rental prices have increased by around 15% on average across New Zealand over the past 3 years, yet wage rates have only increased by 5.5%?
Honourable
Mr. Speaker.
Order!
Mr. Speaker.
Order! The Honourable David Parker is asking the question to the Honourable Bill English. I'm on my feet. And I now require an answer from the Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker.
A point of order, the Honourable David Parker.
You're looking at me. I know I asked the question. It's them that need to know who's meant to answer it.
That is not a point of order. That is creating further disorder in the House. Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, well, they've had a very good answer, and now they'll get an excellent one.
And I'd be
Mr.
grateful
Speaker,
for an answer.
If the member is concerned about the impact of the cost of housing on inequality, then he should support the government's measures, which are, like special housing areas, which are designed precisely to reduce that inequality. In fact, the reason the member talks about housing as a driver of inequality now is because the measures of income inequality don't suit his argument. He's had to concede that the rich are not getting richer and the poor getting poorer, that is simply not true, so now he's trying to change the argument.
Supplementary question, the Honourable David Parker.
How can he deny that the benefits of growth are not being shared fairly when there are now more than 360,000 children and older people living in poverty, and many of those children are living in the households of working parents?
On order,
well, Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Bill English.
We could argue about the fact that the measure he's using, which uses median incomes, overlooks the fact that all of those people he's talking about, children and older people, are in households that have had significant increases in their income, despite the fact that there's been a recession. In fact, the version of poverty the government is most focused on is persistent deprivation, which is the hard end of poverty. That is where people really get trapped for life, and we are advancing a program of improving housing options, reducing welfare dependency, and dealing with the most difficult families constructively in a way to give them the opportunity to get into work and realise their aspirations.
Question number 4, Jackie Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question